In a small village in Africa, far away from the noise of the cities, lived a young girl named Amahal. She was just 13, full of dreams and love, and her world was small but peaceful. Her mother Nia was her whole world, a kind, gentle woman, who always smiled, even when life was hard. They were poor, yes. Their house was made of mud, with a roof of dry grass, and they had little food. But every night they sat under a big mango tree and ate together. Sometimes it was just boiled maize, sometimes sweet potatoes, but they always laughed, always prayed, always gave thanks. Amahal felt safe. She felt loved, but she didn't know. Her life was about to change forever. One morning, as the sun rose over the village, a stranger arrived. He came with loud footsteps, fine clothes, and a woman beside him. The man was Bakisitha, her uncle, who had left the village many years ago. Nobody expected him to return. Beside him was a woman named Zanel. She was tall, beautiful, and had skin that glowed like polished stone. Her voice was soft like silk, and when she smiled, even the elders nodded in approval. But Amahal saw something strange in her eyes, something cold. "This is my wife," said Bakisitha. "We will stay here and help care for Nia and Amahal." Nia welcomed them with respect. She opened her home and cooked food for them, even though there wasn't much. Amahal was happy at first. Maybe now her small family would become whole again. But the feeling didn't last long. From the very first night, Zanel walked around the house as if it already belonged to her. She asked many questions: where Nia kept her money, what time she cooked, where she kept her food and herbs. She smiled when others were around. She brought gifts to the neighbors and complimented Amahal in public. "Such a sweet girl," she would say, just like her mother. But when no one was watching, her face turned hard. Her voice became sharp. Amahal began to feel scared. But she didn't say anything. She thought maybe she was just imagining things that one evening. As the stars began to shine in the sky, Zanel went into the kitchen. "I'll cook tonight," she said kindly. "Nia, you must rest. You look tired." Nia was surprised, but she agreed. She had been feeling weak lately. She didn't know that Zanel had brought something hidden in her bag, a small bottle with a clear liquid inside. While no one watched, Zanel poured a few drops into the soup pot. She stirred it slowly, carefully, whispering to herself, "Soon, this house will be mine." That night, they all sat down to eat. Amahal didn't notice anything strange. The soup tasted fine, but the next morning Nia woke up with pain in her chest. Her hands shook. Her face looked pale. "It's probably the weather," she said with a soft smile. "I'll be fine." But each day, she got weaker. And each day Zanel insisted on cooking. Amahal watched her mother slowly change. The woman who once danced while cleaning now could hardly lift her head. Amahal cried at night, praying under the mango tree, "God, please don't take my mama." Zanel, meanwhile, acted sweet. She cried, fake tears in front of the neighbors. "I don't know what's wrong with Nia," she said. "I'm so worried." But when she was alone, she smiled. The truth was clear, but only to Amal's heart. Something was wrong, something terrible. And she didn't know yet that her mother's death was not the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Asterisk. Amahal sat alone under the old mango tree, hugging her knees to her chest. Her mother Nia had passed away just 3 days ago. The small house felt colder now, silent. The kind of silence that doesn't bring peace but fear. Zanel, her stepmother, had cried at the funeral, throwing herself to the ground and screaming. "Why did you leave us, sister?" she shouted. But Amahal knew it was fake. Her heart told her the truth. Zanel had done something. She had taken her mother away. After the burial, Amahal expected things to calm down, but they didn't. They got worse. Ziana dropped her act the very next morning. She didn't wear her sweet smile anymore. Her voice turned sharp, like the cut of a knife. "Wake up, lazy girl," she shouted at Amahal before sunrise. "Fetch water, sweep the yard, and don't come back inside until it's clean." Amahal was shocked. She had never been treated like this before. Her hands shook, but she obeyed. Zanel didn't stop there. She gave Amahal only leftover food, cold pap and dry bread. At night, she made her sleep on a mat near the door while she rested on the big bed. "You're not the princess here anymore," she whispered one night, smirking. "That was your mother's mistake." Amahal missed Nia's soft voice, her hugs, her laughter. She missed everything. She sat by the mango tree each night, holding her mother's old scarf and praying. Mama, if you can hear me, please help me. I don't know what to do. One night something strange happened. Amahal was half asleep under the tree when a soft breeze touched her face. It wasn't cold, it was warm and gentle like a hand. She opened her eyes, the yard was still, but the scent of wildflowers, her mother's favorite, filled the air. She sat up, heart racing. Mama, she whispered. Then she heard a faint sound, like a sigh carried by the wind. Amahal looked around. No one was there, but she felt it deep in her bones. Something was watching over her. The next morning, things got stranger. Zanelle was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of porridge, when suddenly the spoon flew from her hand and hit the wall. She jumped back, eyes wide. What was that? She shouted. Mahle. Peeked from the corner. She had seen it too. Later, Zanelle went to sweep the floor. The broom slipped and cracked in two. The next day, a glass bowl broke without being touched. Zanelle began to mumble to herself. It's just bad luck, just bad luck. But Amahal knew it wasn't luck. It was something else. Something bigger, something stronger than Zanelle. At night, Amahal started hearing soft footsteps in the hallway. But when she got up to check, no one was there. The door was locked. The windows closed. Zanelle began to sleep with a candle beside her bed, looking over her shoulder at every sound. Stop staring at me, she shouted at Amahal one morning. This is your fault. Amahal stayed quiet, but inside she felt something rising. A strange courage, a feeling that she was not alone. Then, one night, Amahal had a dream. She saw her mother standing under the mango tree, dressed in a white cloth that glowed like moonlight. Her eyes were soft, but her voice was strong. My daughter, Nia said. Do not be afraid, I am with you. The truth will come out. Amahal woke with tears on her cheeks. She clutched her scarf and whispered, Thank you, Mama. She didn't know how or when, but she believed. Zanelle's days of pretending were almost over. After her mother's death, Amal's world turned cold. The house that once smelled of soup and smiles now felt dark and quiet. Her stepmother Zanelle dropped her mask the moment Nia was buried. Zanelle was no longer kind. She shouted at Amal for everything: dirty dishes, swept floors, even spilled water. Useless girl, she would scream, throwing whatever was in her hand. She gave Amahal old clothes to wear and made her sleep on a straw mat outside, even when the nights were cold. Amahal cried under the stars. She held her mother's old scarf close to her chest. Mama, she whispered, please help me, I'm alone. But something strange began to happen after that. One night while Amahal prayed under the mango tree, she felt a soft wind brush her face. It wasn't cold, it was warm like a hug. She opened her eyes. The wind carried a smell she knew very well. It was the same sweet scent her mother wore: flowers and firewood. Mama, she whispered. She looked around, no one was there. But she felt not alone. That night Zanelle was woken by a whisper. Zanelle, she sat up in her bed, sweating. The room was quiet, but she felt cold fingers on the back of her neck. She jumped up, lit a small oil lamp, and looked around. Nothing, just shadows. She told herself it was a bad dream, but the next morning, the clay pot in the kitchen was broken. It had not fallen. It was in the middle of the floor. Amahal, Zanelle screamed. What did you do? I didn't touch it, Amahal said, shaking with fear. I was outside. Zanelle slapped her hard. Don't lie. Amahal didn't argue, but her heart whispered, Mama is here. The days grew stranger. Doors opened and closed on their own. Zanelle heard footsteps in the night. Mirrors cracked. The wind in the house whispered names. Zanelle began talking to herself. It's just the wind. Just the wind. But her hands would not stop shaking. Amahal noticed her stepmother now looked tired and angry all the time. She flinched at sounds. She avoided the kitchen at night. One evening, Amahal had a dream. In it, her mother stood under the mango tree, dressed in white, glowing like the moon. My child, she said, her voice soft and warm. Do not be afraid. I am still with you. I see everything. Justice is near. Amahal reached for her, but her hands passed through her like air. Don't go, Mama, she cried. Her mother smiled. Be strong, I will speak soon. The truth will come out. When Amahal woke up, she found a fresh mango on the ground beside her. But the tree hadn't borne fruit in months. She held it close, heart racing. Mama, she whispered, thank you. Meanwhile, Zanelle's fear grew. She visited an old herbalist in the next village. There is a spirit in my house, she said, her voice shaking. I hear her voice. She wants something from me. The herbalist gave her a charm made from ash and dry roots. Wear this. Keep it under your pillow. She did, but the whispers got louder. Zanelle began to lose sleep. Her skin turned pale. Her hair, once shiny, was tangled and dry. Amahal stayed quiet. She did her chores. She kept praying. She believed her mother was watching. She could feel her. Then, one night it happened. Zanelle was asleep in her room when a loud crash shook the house. She sat up screaming. The oil lamp flickered. And then, in the corner of the room, a figure began to appear, white, glowing, and floating above the floor. It was NAGA. Her eyes were full of sorrow and fire. You poisoned me, she said slowly. Her voice echoed like wind in the trees. Zanelle screamed, falling to her knees. No, no, I didn't mean to. I didn't. You made my child suffer, the ghost said. You lied. You broke her. But now, you cannot hide. The truth is coming. The lamp blew out. The room fell silent. Zanelle did not sleep that night. She sat in the corner of her room, shaking, her eyes wild. She whispered to herself, she's back, she's here, she knows. And the next morning the village began to hear her cries. Watched quietly, holding her mother's scarf. Something deep in her heart told her. This was only the beginning. The night after the ghost appeared, Zanelle could not stop shaking. Her lips moved silently, her eyes wide with fear. The woman who once walked with pride now looked broken. Her skin had lost its glow, her voice had lost its power. She sat on the floor of her room, talking to shadows. She's back, Nia knows. Amahal, hiding behind the wall, listened quietly. She pressed her mother's scarf to her chest. She didn't speak, she didn't move. But her heart whispered, Mama is here. She is fighting for me. The next morning, strange things continued. When Zanelle entered the kitchen, all the pots began to rattle. The water jar tipped over without anyone touching it. A cold wind passed through the room, though the windows were closed. Then a voice came, not loud, not soft, but clear. You cannot hide anymore. Zanelle dropped to her knees and screamed. The villagers heard her cries. One by one, they came to see what was happening. They gathered outside the house, whispering to each other. Why is she screaming? Is she sick? Is she cursed? Even the village chief came. He knocked on the door. Zanelle opened it slowly, her eyes wide with fear. Her hands were shaking. Her voice was dry. She's here, she said. The ghost Nia, she came back. The villagers gasped. What ghost? What are you saying? Amahal stood behind the chief, quiet but strong. She looked at Zanelle with no fear. The woman who once hid her now couldn't even hold her head up. Then, something unbelievable happened. The wind rose suddenly. A soft voice full of power echoed through the air. Tell the truth. The crowd froze. They looked around, searching for the voice, but there was no one speaking. Zanelle fell to the ground, her hands covering her face. I did it, she cried. I poisoned her. I gave her poison in the soup. I wanted her gone. I was jealous. I thought if she was gone, I could take everything. Gasps filled the air. The villagers looked at each other in shock. Amahal didn't speak. She only held her scarf tighter. Tears filled her eyes, not from pain, but from relief. Her mother's voice had spoken. Justice had come. The village chief stepped forward, his face full of sadness and anger. You killed a woman who did no harm, he said. And you made her child suffer. This is a crime, not just against people, but against the spirits. The elders gathered quickly. They spoke in low voices. Then the chief turned to Zanelle. You must leave this village, he said. You will walk out with nothing. No bags, no gifts, no food. This land does not belong to you, Zanelle begged. Please, I'm sorry, I was weak. But no one listened. Even Amel's father, who had stayed silent for so long, now stepped forward. His eyes were full of shame. "You made me turn away from my daughter," he said. "You destroyed my family. You deserve what is coming." Zanelle was pushed out of the village gates. She walked into the wild barefoot, her clothes torn by branches and thorns. People said she cried and laughed at the same time. Some said she spoke to herself in the dark. Others said she saw Nia's face in the trees, but no one ever saw her again. Back in the village, Amahal stood quietly. She looked at the sky, where the clouds moved slowly like gentle spirits. That night, she lit a candle outside their small home. She placed her mother's scarf beside it. She whispered, "Thank you, Mama. You never left me." The villagers began treating Amahal differently. Some brought her food. Others gave her warm clothes. Many said sorry for not seeing the truth sooner. A kind woman named Auntie Themb, who once loved Nia like a sister, came to Amal's side. "Come live with me, child," she said. "Your mother's spirit will always be with us. But you need love from the living too." Amahal moved into her new home. She slept in a soft bed, ate hot food, and laughed again. Slowly the sadness in her heart turned into strength. She helped other children. She told stories of her mother, of her love, her kindness, and her spirit that fought from beyond the grave. Years passed. Amahal grew into a strong, beautiful young woman. She never forgot her past, but she was no longer afraid. And every year, on the night her mother died, she lit a candle under the mango tree. She sat in silence and whispered, "Your love saved me, Mama, and I will carry it forever."